Living Islam. Narcissism, the psychological catchword of the 21st century. But what is narcissism? How does it corrupt the soul? And can it be treated and cured? Join Maulana Zahier Ahmed Raggie every Wednesday morning as he unpacks the topic of narcissism and enlightens us on the Islamic perspective of tackling this spiritual sickness. Radio Islam International, bringing you contemporary and pertinent psychological discussions.
برضاه أحب لقاء يظل يجيء إلى.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We welcome you to the airwaves of Radio Islam International this Wednesday morning. Now, as you did hear there in the promo, this has been a very fascinating discussion, a very interesting discussion that has been taking place. Many people suffer from various different spiritual problems, spiritual maladies that they go through. A lot of people will tell you that I'm experiencing different types of things. And this is one thing that many people are going through. They are very, 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 very interesting cases, very, very sad at times cases where people don't exactly know and understand what exactly they are going through. They just know that they're going through difficulties. They don't understand what they're going through. And that is what makes it a bit difficult for them to seek the right type of help. And that is why we have started this discussion. And Maulana has been doing a fundamental job in taking us through this discussion, the discussion all about narcissism. Let me first, as an introduction, I'm just sitting in for Maulana Muhammad Bam. He is on leave. The name is Ahmed Waja. I am sitting in for Maulana today, but it's a great honor to be with Maulana Zahier Ahmed Raggie in the program today. Zahier Ahmed, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Radio Islam again. You've been with us for doing these discussions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you in abundance.
Ameen. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We also take this opportunity of greeting our listeners on Radio Islam, Radio Al Ansar, and also all those that have joined in with the live program on the Ummahat platform. Ji Maulana.
So it's a great honor from my side to share the studios with you, to share this platform with you, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means that we can benefit from these very, very interesting discussions. For our listeners, you can you can note Maulana has alhamdulillah prepared. Maulana takes a lot of time in preparing this discussion, going through this discussion, to bring this discussion in a short time that we have, to bring the salient points of this discussion forward. Maulana makes a lot of preparations to get through this discussion, but Maulana has availed himself. Even if you have any questions regarding the topic that Maulana is going to be speaking about today, if there's anything that is troubling your mind, then you can drop us a WhatsApp message and we will go through those messages. We'll try and take as many of them as we can, but we want to try and discover, go through the discussion that Maulana has prepared for today as well. So we try to jumble everything together so that we can all benefit. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it possible for one and all. Previously, Maulana has discussed with this program, there has been 2 series that has taken place with regards to this particular topic, and Maulana has went through the basics already, what is narcissism, etc., and the introductory points with regards to this type of personality that people have, this difficulty at times that people go through. Maulana took a look at the makeup of a narcissist, etc. Now today, moving on with the discussion, today is the third series, if that's what you call it, the third part. The first thing that we're going to take a look at today is narcissists lack self-regulation. They don't control their emotions, and that is what fosters their unpredictability.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Yes, Maulana. We, as you have very beautifully encapsulated some of the discussions that we had in the past 2 sessions. Before going on to what you have just mentioned, I would like to just give 1 or 2 important points for our listeners and our viewers. That firstly, it's important that we must not self-diagnose. Yes, we are addressing some of the traits that we might see and hear of. Too many of what is being discussed may resonate with one's own life. However, we should not self-diagnose. We should go for professional therapy because that is what will assist us. Together with that, I also want to mention that one of the sisters has mentioned in our last discussion, which I feel it's a very important reminder, that if a person is diagnosed with an experienced by an experienced and a reputable psychiatrist or some counselor or therapist as someone with this behavior, this behavioral disorder, then that person is or should never be labeled by this disorder. You are not your illness. You are a person with that illness. And more important than that is there is help out there. I know many Western psychologists and therapists say that there is no cure for people that have these disorders. We want to address this topic in a total different way because we have mentioned that this is to do a lot to do with the corruption of one's nafs, the corruption of one's soul. And in Islam, subhanallah, there is tremendous medication. There is tremendous ways by which we can remedy the corruption of our soul. There is this whole program of tazkiyatun nafs, the tarbiyah. So we should keep that in mind, that there is always hope and we should never lose hope. We don't call a person by his illness that he's a cancer, but we say he is affected by cancer. So a person may not necessarily be called a narcissist, but he has narcissistic traits. And our purpose of discussing this is that if it resonates with many of us, seek professional help. Together now, Maulana, as you just said, after having said these two opening words or statements, the aspect of self-regulation. And it actually blends into the discussion that we are having relating to self-diagnosing. So a narcissist, unfortunately, lacks self-regulation. They cannot control their emotions, and that is what fosters their unpredictability. They also don't care how their behavior affects their victims and will keep displacing their anger onto other people. And what happens is that victims think that the onus is on them to soothe the narcissist, but it is never enough. No matter how many comforting words you may try to offer, a narcissist will project their volatility, their anger onto you. So somehow you get portrayed as the one with the chaotic temperament. And this is something that if you are in this abusive relationship, you need to be cognizant of that they don't have control over their emotions. And then it leads up to something which we call, they also have a lot of double standards. And it's very perplexing. They are opposed to self-censorship, regardless of the magnitude of their actions. And at the same time, unfortunately, they have absolutely no qualms in nitpicking the tiniest of movements when it comes to others. This is unfortunately what a narcissist's behavior is. They have no problem dishing out, if they were to get a taste of their own medicine, even a tiny fraction of it, they will blow the gasket for sometimes small, minor issues. And they are extremely hypersensitive and are highly prone to emotional damage. So any minor remark can rustle their feathers and it can drive them up the wall and they will just blow the gasket. This brings up that this is what we are expanding on this topic, opening up this topic so we are able to manage this in a better way. So disagreeing with a narcissist is also misperceived by them as an assault against their honor, as an assault against their identity. They would personalize everything, even things that have nothing to do with them. So they have their egos wounded. It is like they are searching for something to be offended about so they can have a fit. And they don't realize that there are two types of differing. One form of differing is something that emanates from an antagonistic opinion, and the other is from just a valid variety of views. For example, there is no contradiction between someone's heart being inclined towards a color blue and someone else preferring shades of green. Still, you will find the narcissist could take your different color preference as a vicious attack against them. And the narcissist will apply that self centered mindset to every area of life where your personal tastes have to align with theirs. And we've mentioned something about this in our past discussion. So you are expected to like the same cuisine, the same food, the same sport, the same bank, the same style of housing, the same sense of humor as them. And they can become extremely sensitive to you, showing any sign of your own individuality, and could perceive it as an act of rebellion that must be immediately quashed. So these are some of the very dangerous mindsets. Now, being yourself is sufficient to be put in the narcissist's bad books and have them up in arms against you. That is why you find many victims reach a state where they are always fearful of voicing an authentic opinion, lest the narcissist holds something against them or decides to retaliate at times. And they will just say what the narcissist wants them to hear, to spare themselves the agony that always ensues from offering a different point of view. And that is the best way to keep their emotional welfare intact. But even then, a narcissist is an expert at finding something negative. They want to have their cake and they want to eat it as well. They want to be loved and respected, but don't wish to make others feel cherished or valued. Instead, their destructive style, their destructive modus operandi, that people mainly obey them out of fear.
Jima, this the qualities that Malana spoke of, it's very sad, as Malana said right from the start. This is a disorder that people go through. We can only make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from having these qualities that Malana spoke of. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help those people that are suffering with these different types of difficulties, problems, disorders, to get through this. It's not something that can be done in a day, as Malana said right in the start. You have to seek help. You cannot just self-diagnose. You cannot just decide what you're going to do. You need to go. And that's the good thing, Manan. There is professional help out there that
Absolutely.
you can go to. You can seek help from different type of people, different professionals that can help you. And every difficulty that people have gone through in life, Marana, they have been able to come out of it. Allah
Alhamdulillah.
subhanahu wa ta'ala has not made it such that there are problems out there that you can't get out of. Yes, there are many problems, but whatever problem is out there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a solution to every problem. We just need to seek it. We need to go to the professional people, seek help for it, and we can get out of it. Now, another issue that comes out with this is they often speak of this term that they call gaslighting. Now, maybe Mana can take us through this discussion. What is this all about? Is this abuse? Is it a type of abuse? Is it emotional abuse? What is this gaslighting?
Yes, Moana, this is something, again, gaslighting is a term that is often used when discussing this personality disorder. So gaslighting. So now let's move on to this aspect. And this word comes from a very old movie, and I know there might be some people that may say that why are you talking about movies, but that's the reality. It comes from a very old movie about how a man convinced his wife that she was insane because he wanted her money. Now, that was an old movie and it was called gaslighting. And so, this technique, this manipulative technique that the narcissists use is called gaslighting. So, see, for our listeners and all of those that are joining us in this program, just observe and see if any of these phrases sound familiar. Oh, come on. I never said that. You are just being overly sensitive. I don't know why you are making such a big deal of this. If you had been a good wife or a husband, daughter or sister, a friend, mother, you would have actually been supporting me. You are misguided. And what did Iblis say in the beginning? We spoke about it. Since you led me astray, I am going to mislead others on your path. So we see the narrative here is very evil, and it's actually imitating the characteristics of shaitan. So let's go through the list of the things that culminate into gaslighting. The first one is that they are able to tell blatant lies. They deny that they ever said something, even though you may have even a recorded proof. And many of people that are in this abusive relationship would always say, I wish I could have recorded what I heard from you. So they use what is near and dear to you as ammunition. That's another way of gaslighting. They wear you down over time. Their actions do not actually match their words. They throw in positive reinforcements to confuse you. They know that confusion weakens people, and they project meanings that they have a bad part of their character. For example, like if there are someone who steals, they will accuse you of stealing. They try to align people against you. This is all part of the gaslighting. They need like a mob mentality to turn you against your own self. They tell others that you are crazy. They tell you that everyone else is a liar. If you have found some support when they tell everybody else is a liar, or they start turning away, or even just giving you the silent treatment and boycotting you, or they say to certain people things are not right in their relationship that they have. A husband wants to make his wife think like she's going crazy, she's going, bonkers. So they dim the gaslight. And I'm using this term. They actually dim the gaslight. They claim nothing is happening. That is where the term gaslighting comes from. So the purpose of gaslighting is to instill you with so much self-doubt that you end up doubting your own perceptions and you end up doubting your own judgments. Your self-esteem goes out of the window along with your ability to think straight. That means you have to rely upon the narcissist's fabricated narratives when seeing the truth. So it's always like it's your fault. That means you end up having to do what the narcissists say. It is the ultimate form of psychological warfare. Gaslighting is the ultimate form of psychological abuse. Victims will know something is up because their gut tells them something is fishy, but they cannot pinpoint it exactly. They trust the narcissist, interpreting their words, interpreting their actions in the best light, as well as always giving them the benefit of the doubt. And, you will find many victims will be conflict averse. Many victims don't like to be in this conflict. So they don't want to argue too much and will even concede defeat to preserve the peace. And all these dynamics actually play out handsomely to the narcissist's advantage. Gaslighting is actually a very cruel form of emotional abuse where an individual's emotional experience, external occurrences are denied. It can take the form of an outright denial, where the abuser just refuses to admit that the event actually took place. Like, that's not true. That didn't happen. And once the narcissist gets away with the denial, they don't have to engage further. So they escape accountability. That's their way of escaping accountability. Another type of gaslighting is acknowledging the event's occurrence, but actually downplaying its significance, resulting in one of the narcissist's favorite phrases, you are just too sensitive. Stop making a big deal about nothing. The narcissist minimizing or discounting your feelings puts the onus on you to sort yourself out. At other times, the focus can be on the incident itself, whereby it gets classified as nothing. Like, for example, some of the things you might hear, and some of our brothers or sisters might find this ringing some bells, words like, it is just a bit of a friendly flirting, nothing else. That means that the narcissist can engage in a misdeed without getting reprimanded, since he has assigned an innocent meaning to the wrongdoing that they were actually engaged in. So whatever kind of gaslighting the narcissist opts for, the nature can make you feel like you are going mad. It can feel so painful and so isolating, where you begin to self-doubt and self-blame. And this can sometimes reach to very high levels. And this process sometimes is so gradual that you don't realize the significant shift from your own happiness, your own reality, into the narcissist's dark world. And the narcissist's narrative becomes your reality, where you are fed false information, your self-esteem is ruined, you are isolated from your own social circle and subjected to some, very abusive conditions. And the gaslighter, whoever it is, male or female, may also use it with other aspects of manipulation, which may include deflection, deflecting the blame, stonewalling, where they just don't want to discuss the issue, or even rewriting the history that it never happened this way, it happened this way. So deflection, I spoke of deflection, I spoke of stonewalling, I spoke of rewriting history. And let me just expand a little on that. Deflection means changing the topic to something else, like all your supposed past misbehavior, whereby you find yourself on the back foot, defending yourself, instead of addressing the initial topic you actually want to discuss with the person you are in this relationship with. Stonewalling is like blocking the conversation before it even started. Example, they will say to you, the way you talk is so rude. I don't even want to discuss these things with you. And this is how they gaslight. Rewriting history, the narcissist could have been out committing a murder. Okay, I'm taking it maybe to the extent, but committing any wrong, just as an example, doing something wrong, but then claims that he was he was not even there. He was tucked in bed. He doesn't know what you're talking about. Subhanallah. The narcissist will keep a straight face and talk to you in such an authoritative manner, whereby the victim will think only someone in the right can be that persistent and convincing, even if what the narcissist is claiming is wrong. The narcissist will act all offended, irritated if the victim tries to get to a bottom of an issue. He'll become irritated, or she will become irritated. They will go on to their classical, rambling, filled with a truth here and there. And the aspect is they will catch you off guard, and you would not even want to even discuss this anymore. Much of what is said can't be verified. What I'm saying, there is no evidence to disprove it. A narcissist doesn't get worn out from his lying. They will keep firing away until you lose the steam and the energy, and even come to believe the narcissist's false version of events. You will have explained yourself a million times, applying the laws of logic with a sincere resolve to arrive at the truth of an issue. But the narcissist's way of gaslighting is not interested in anything of that. They are hell bent on distorting reality, because genuineness is the last thing in their makeup. And you end up emotionally drained, filled with fatigue, where just giving up feels like it's just the right thing to do. Another very common form of gaslighting is the narcissist saying something and then denying ever having said that, whether after 1 minute, 1 year, or whenever. The narcissist will even try to bring in third parties to vouch for him or her. When everyone ends up saying that the narcissist would never say such a thing, this is where the victim's focus turns from her self-confidence or his self-confidence to what everyone else is saying. And, you will say, can all these people be wrong? Maybe there's something wrong with me. And this will cause doubt over your mental health. It will cast doubt over your own sanity, claiming it interferes with your abilities and recall of events. They might also accuse you of having a wild imagination. Whatever gaslighting technique is resorted to, the narcissists use it to escape accountability and to exert control over you. Maybe this Mana might have given an overall understanding of this term, gaslighting. And when you are in that abusive relationship, and when you feel that you are in this motion and in this abusive relationship of where you begin to question your own sanity, it is a time that you need to be self-aware of yourself, to be aware of what's happening in that relationship. And the best thing at that time is, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Turn to Allah, ask Allah for protection, make wudu, go and read 2 rakats of salah. These are things that will just shift you from thinking about yourself to be someone that has lost his own sanity or her own sanity.
Yeah, Ma, and I think the very concerning part in this, Marana has done such an amazing job in explaining all the different qualities and the different things that goes on, and especially when it comes to this particular term, this term of gaslighting, and the different things that the person that displays narcissist behavior will go through, and the things that they'll make you through. I think one very important thing that we understand is that one is the person that is experiencing these difficulties needs help.
Absolutely.
But they are very, very, very important to understand that the people that live around them, it doesn't have to be husband and wife, it can be maybe a parent, maybe a child, whatever the case is. People that are living around them, they definitely need help as well, because going through or living with people that are displaying this type of behavior, it definitely cannot be easy. And to be able to live with these type of people, definitely it's not going to be easy. You're going to need some assistance, you're going to need some help. And as we said, we've said it before, we're saying it again, there is help out there. You don't have to be despondent that you're all alone and there's nobody there to help you. Alhamdulillah, we can say with the great amount of confidence that alhamdulillah there are various counselors and professionals that are able to help you, that are able to take you through this difficulties that you're going through, and this is a battle that can be won. Mara, if we now have to continue with the discussion, based on what Manana has explained already, this would mean that the narcissists are generally, they're not stupid people. From the way Manana has explained it and the things that they are do, the manipulative characteristics that they show, they are definitely not stupid people. They are not
Absolutely not,
foolish
Maulana.
people. They know exactly what they're doing.
In fact, they can be highly smart and really shrewd.
Mm.
When they set themselves a target, they will work their socks off to achieve it. And when they want to empower themselves with certain knowledge, they will put in the time to ensure they do just that. They know precisely what they need to do. And when I say they are smart, it also takes us to another era that they tend to be money orientated, consumerist, and highly materialistic. Money is sometimes the universal currency, the abundant resources, power. Money is power. Money also translates to tangible assets which the narcissist can flaunt to receive the validation that they always need. And their greed knows no bounds. They will do what it takes to increase their monetary digits. Self value is contingent upon how loaded they are. And they will always judge others using monetary and materialistic standards. So, these are some of the things that we need to keep in mind of a narcissist. Anna, if you have some people that have sent some comments, I don't know if they are, you may read it and then we can continue with our discussion, inshallah.
Jim, most certainly there has been comments that has come in, and there's been questions that has come in as well, Mura. So if you're going to start right from the start, the first message, Jazakallah for this program and this discussion. Allah has blessed you with the intelligent, Alhamdulillah. Then somebody says, I have had that the same person then says, I've had a very difficult and emotional problem being married to an abusive husband. Life was a nightmare, but next moment I was like a queen. Eventually, I left our home. Being married to a millionaire, I left with nothing just to save my sanity. I was awarded maintenance, but I received nothing, and I just tried to move on. My life was in danger. I was attacked in my home, but law was useless. Until today, after many years, I just cannot move on. Please assist.
So, if the comments are just normal comments like these, maybe we can continue unless if there's a question. I see someone has put here on my call on my phone that they are very intelligent. They can play mind games with you and never lose.
Here's something that is concerning, Moran. This is a sensitive question. After hearing of spouses taking their lives, what happens or what is the condition of a person who commits suicide as a result of trauma from a narcissistic spouse and is unable to continue as a result? It gets that bad.
Yes, Molana, it does get bad. It does really get bad. In fact, I must make mention that, in the process of our discussion, I've been receiving many, many messages, and there were one or two that had this type of, they were in this type of abuse where they felt they were losing their sanity because of this gaslighting and all of that. And, they were thinking of some very serious steps. Allah make it easy. And I think that's one of the reasons why we have commenced with this discussion, because the problems out there are serious.
Definitely.
And I will make mention of a very nice quotation that I've read in the process of this, and I will come to that at a later stage, but just to talk about it. They say, if there's an elephant in the room, introduce the elephant. And that's why we are discussing this, so that we are aware. And as much as we are saying that these ills are there, we must also make mention, don't self-diagnose. We must also mention that if someone is unfortunately guilty of this type of abuse, our purpose here is to have a self-evaluation that if I am guilty of any of this, I need to be bold enough to take the step to go for some healing processes and therapy. And that's why we are discussing this, to prevent ourselves and our relationships from being soured so that we all can enjoy good, wholesome, healthy relationships with each other.
But generally, the comments that have come through that I've taken the time to now go through them, they a lot of them seem to concur, a lot of them seem to agree, and with exactly what Morana is speaking about. Many of them saying that Morana has hit the topic on the nail. Many of them agreeing with whatever Morana has spoken about thus far. Certain people are still asking for help. Maybe reputable therapists out there that they can go to seeking help, etc. But that is the way it seems to be.
Fine, let's move on.
That's the help that people seem to be asking for. Jima, so the aspect that we've spoken about now was, as we said, these are not people that don't know what they're doing. They actually, as Mara said, they could be very smart people. They know exactly what they're doing. Nama, they speak about flying monkeys of paramount importance. Mara can explain this to us.
I think last week we had someone that sent a message and they asked about flying monkeys. So that must be someone that is acquainted with this disorder. So let's talk a little about this concept of flying monkeys. Now, flying monkeys are paramount importance to an abuser. Now, before going into in the Quran, we learn and we read Haman's story, and we learn about Fir'aun's soldiers are mentioned a lot of times in conjunction with Fir'aun. Now, this is not coincidental, but rather shows that abusers need a right-hand man and a band of ignorant followers to execute their malicious agenda. And that's what a flying monkey is. Flying monkeys are important to an abuser. Without them, his or her abuse can never come to fruition, since they are integral components in an abusive setup. A narcissist will always have a gang of loyal followers whose sole purpose is to obey the narcissist unconditionally. The narcissist's harem will be a combination of family members, old friends, work colleagues, etc. And family members, it can be, children, it can be parents, it can be in-laws. If someone has double grossed the narcissist, they will sort them out. So if the narcissist desires information about a potential victim, they will go on a scouting mission to gather intelligence. If the narcissist wishes to recruit someone for a project, the flying monkeys will try to enlist them. If the narcissist requires an act of assistance, the flying monkeys will be his or her service. If the narcissist is in a bad mood, they will try to cheer him or her up. If the narcissist has committed a crime, they will cover his or her tracks. If the narcissist has spotted a nice girl, for example, they will tell her that the narcissist wishes to see her. In a nutshell, they are the narcissist's shoes, whom he puts on or she puts on and takes off as he or she pleases. Now, this is something that we are seeing it's amazing when you go into this, the study and the research of this personality disorder, how much of information and how much research has been actually done. There's a question here, Morana. I just address this. Don't you feel everyone has narcissistic behavior at different levels? I think this is a very, very important question. And I would say, yes, every one of us have some of those. And I think we spoke about this in our last discussion, the aspect of regulating these traits. For example, jealousy. So jealousy is one of the traits of a narcissist. However, every form of jealousy is not necessarily an evil trait. There are ways by which you can use some of those traits for the benefit of people. And I would talk about this later, inshallah. You are asking this question, please bear with me. I would give an example of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. If you see the life of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu prior to him accepting Islam, everyone among us, when we see his actions and what he was desiring to do, going and killing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, hurting his sister, abusing the brother-in-law, we would all say he had those narcissistic traits. However, when accepting Islam and when Deen came into him, those same traits were used in a positive manner. So we need to understand, yes, we do, but there is ways by which we need to be controlling those traits. And that's actually the reason why we are having this discussion. And when we come onto it, when we're going to talk about codependence, we're going to talk about empaths, the concept of empathy in Islam, then the whole discussion will come in its proper context. We will understand what we are actually addressing, inshallah. So, Marana, if I can carry on. So another segment of people that the narcissist is hell-bent on recruiting is your family members and your close friends. Once he or she gets in their good books and has them on his or her side, your abuse complaints hold no water. This is how clever and manipulative they are. The narcissist will have told them all about your strange behavior. So when you act all erratic, trying to explain to them the narcissist's real corrupt nature, they come to think that the narcissist was right and it's all about you. It is a double whammy. You don't have your primary support base on your side anymore. And on top of that, the narcissist gains more credibility when your very own family is affirming his or her false narrative. It doesn't get any better when you go to the narcissist henchman or flying monkey, because even if they know what is going on, they will never take sides against the narcissist. They have been programmed to defend this person with their life and even sacrifice themselves to get the narcissist off the hook. So the narcissist relies on a group of enablers who carry out his orders and defend his abuse. If you were to point out a narcissist to the average person, they could find it sometimes very difficult to believe you. And that is because the narcissist doesn't wear his evil on his sleeve, but his sinisterness resides in his heart. It's concealed from the naked eye. And therefore we call it's something to do with the corruption of a person's nafs. The halo effect plays a huge part in many people's perceptions, equating good looks with goodness. The reality, though, is that there are many, good-looking people out there who are far from virtuous. Yes, there are many good-looking people out there who are actually far from being virtuous. When many sisters complain about their abusive husbands, or vice versa, you will find many people reprimanding them for being ungrateful. They see a handsome or a pretty, well-dressed man or woman with occupational prestige who is a generous charity giver that does so much for the community. And you may try to tell people that this is the false persona. Behind closed doors, it is a different story, but it falls on deaf ears. People tend to go by superficial appearances, and the narcissist wastes no time in exploiting what happens outside his circles, outside the home, and what he or she is actually in the home. They know that they can craft an attractive look and a decent reputation They can get away with all the abuse they do in private, away from public eye. Once again, it boils down to the double standards of a narcissist. And this double standards of a narcissist is so bizarre. They will hold you in contempt, show no empathy, invalidate your feelings, lie through their teeth, feel entitled to deal with you as they please, plot evil schemes against you, manufacture toxic conditions, placing you in unbearable trouble. And they may go bananas for nothing. They may personalize events which have nothing to do with them. They get all paranoid with your neutral actions, project all the thoughts onto you, blame everything onto you, take minor comments as waging a war against them. They may envy your whatever good things you have, show remorselessness after the most abusive of interactions, and at the same time fish for compliments, brag about their accomplishments, put on a dramatic show in public. They may act emotionally cold, not listen to you, gaslight you, never assume responsibility for anything, control all aspects of your life, administer you with unpleasant shocks out of the blue, shamelessly exploit you, ignore your boundaries, invade your personal space, cheat on you, flirt with others, act without care in the world. But if you were to do a slight fraction of any of that, they would brand you as evil and harmful. Marana, this brings us to a conclusion of some of the things that we have spoken. If you want to share some of the things that the listeners might have shared, we can do that, and then we'll conclude today's discussion, Marana.
Well, the last message that came in, somebody says, Alhamdulillah to Maulana's excellent research and explanations. Maulana, your descriptions are spot on and give me a good chuckle. There's like that, Maulana. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all the research that you have done in taking us through this discussion. There are so many messages here, Maulana, that have said that Maulana's description is spot on. Everything that I see in my spouse is exactly what Maulana is speaking about. Somebody even, I'm not too sure now if I'm going to look for it, but somebody even says that, I would think that Maulana is describing my husband in particular. So those are the comments that have come through. And I must tell the listeners that, look, there's quite a few questions that some people have asked. Some people have asked that if my husband is a drug addict, he's a drug addict, but he's got all this narcissist behavioral traits in him. Does that make him a narcissist as well? People are asking, if my spouse pretends to be sick, can that be narcissist behavior as well?
That's all part of it. Sometimes not necessarily. And therefore, I'm repeatedly saying that, we are just uncovering some of these traits. But in order to properly diagnose, seek professional help.
Definitely. And what we need to tell the listeners as a final point is that please keep this in mind. The discussion, it's the third week now. This discussion will still go on. There are points that are coming to your mind. You are raising certain issues. Maybe we haven't taken the time and fully went through the answer of your particular question. But Maulana is going through this discussion. And as you go through it, you will pick up things that are troubling you, things that are worrying you, questions that are on your mind. Maulana will discuss it. Maulana will, inshallah, go through it. At the end of the entire discussion, when the entire discussion is concluded, if you feel that your question hasn't been answered and you still want more clarity, Maulana will definitely avail himself. In fact, Maulana, it comes to this, that somebody says the final thing, right? Maulana is excellent. Maulana, please compile a book.
I see there's a question here. Will a narcissist person actually admit they are wrong and try to remedy themselves? This is a problem, and I think it would require a lot of encouragement, because to admit a wrong for a narcissist affects his ego, it damages his ego, and we need to put forward to such a person the broader benefit and interest that what we are trying to do to seek remedy is that both of us need help, you must regard yourself as part of the solution and not just pass the blame on that he or she needs the help. Sometimes both need the help, and explain to them the broader benefit of seeking help, especially when there are children involved, how much better their relationship can be. And inshallah, with dua and effort, there may be an opportunity for them to seek the necessary help and remedy, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah so much for your time, Marana. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. There's still so much that we could have went through, but inshallah, next week the program will continue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you in a